Ladies and gentlemen, let me tell you something real today. If you're sitting here thinking your life can't change in 6 months, that's a lie you've been telling yourself for too long. I've lived long enough, failed enough, and prayed enough to know this truth. 6 months of focused effort can change the direction of your entire life. Not magic, not luck, decisions. See, the first thing you've got to understand is this. Nobody is coming to save you. Nobody owes you anything. Once you accept that, you become powerful. When you stop blaming your past, your parents, your situation, your country, your boss, or your bank account, you finally step into ownership. And ownership is where change begins. The moment you say, "This is on me," your life starts to shift. Now let me actually know what you want. Not what sounds good. Not what looks good on social media. What do you want? 6 months from now, if everything went right, what would your life look like? How much money would you be making? How would you feel when you wake up? Who would you have become? If you don't have a clear picture, you'll wander. And wandering people don't win. Successful people decide, then they commit. Let me start by telling you that most people don't want to hear, but it's the truth, and the truth is the only thing that can set you free. If you want your life to change in the next 6 months, you have to take full responsibility for where you are right now. Not some of it. Not the part that's convenient. All of it. Because the moment you keep blaming something or someone else, you give away your power to change. See, a lot of people say they want success, but they don't want accountability. They want a breakthrough without a breakdown of their excuses. You can't fix what you won't face. If your life isn't where you want it to be, you have to look in the mirror and be honest enough to say, "I played a role in this." That doesn't mean you weren't treated unfairly. That doesn't mean life didn't hit you hard. It just means you're done letting the past control your future. Let me explain something to you. Responsibility is not about blame, it's about control. When you say, "This is my fault," you also say, "This is my fix." But when you say, "This happened because of them," you wait on them to change, and they might never change. So now what? You stay stuck? No, successful people don't wait for conditions to be perfect. They move anyway. A lot of folks spend years explaining why their life is the way it is. They've got a story about their childhood, a story about their finances, a story about their job, a story about their environment. And listen, some of those stories are real. But real pain doesn't excuse permanent paralysis. At some point, you've got to stop telling the story and start writing a new chapter. You can't keep saying, "Only I had more time," because everybody gets the same 24 hours. You can't keep saying, "If only I had money," because money follows value, and value follows effort. You can't keep saying, "If only I had support," because sometimes the lack of support is the very thing that builds your strength. When you accept responsibility, excuses lose their power. Here's another hard truth. Nobody is required to believe in your dreams. That's your job. Nobody owes you motivation. Nobody owes you understanding. Nobody owes you opportunity. Opportunity responds to preparation, not complaining. When you accept this, you stop waiting to be chosen and you start choosing yourself. Taking responsibility also means admitting when you've been lazy, distracted, inconsistent, or afraid. Fear will make you rationalize failure. It'll tell you it's better to stay where you are than to risk embarrassment. But growth requires discomfort. Responsibility says, "I may know how yet, but I will figure it out." That mindset alone separates winners from wanderers. Let me tell you something powerful. The day you stop blaming is the day your life speeds up. Because now every problem has a solution. Every setback has a lesson. Every delay has a purpose. Instead of asking, "Why is this happening to me?" you start asking, "What is this trying to teach me?" That question changes everything. You don't need permission to improve your life. You don't need approval to change your habits. You don't need validation to chase your purpose. All you need is the courage to say, from this moment forward, I'm responsible. That decision alone will put you ahead of most people. 6 months from now, you can be a completely different person, but only if you stop pointing fingers and start pointing forward. Own your mornings. Own your mistakes. Own your future. Because once you take responsibility, nothing can stop you except you. And the best part is, if you're the problem, that means you're also the solution. Let me talk to you straight for a minute. If you want your life to change in the next 6 months, you have to get clear about what you actually want. Not what sounds impressive when you say it out loud. Not what looks good on social media. Not what your friends or family expect from you. I'm talking about a clear, honest vision that belongs to you. Because a confused mind always produces a confused life. Most people wake up every day reacting instead of directing. They let circumstances decide their mood, their moves, and their future. They don't have a target, so they settle for whatever comes their way. And let me tell you something importantly. You cannot hit a target you cannot see. Life doesn't reward vague wishes. It responds to specific decisions. You've got to sit down with yourself and ask some serious questions. Where do I want to be 6 months from now? How do I want to live? How do I want to feel when I wake up in the morning? What kind of person do I need to become to get there? If you don't answer these questions, life will answer them for you, and you probably won't like the outcome. Here's the problem. A lot of people are scared to get clear because clarity comes with responsibility. Once you know what you want, you can't hide anymore. You can't pretend you're busy when you're really just distracted. You can't blame confusion when you're actually avoiding commitment. Clarity demands action, and action exposes effort. You don't need a 10-year plan to change your life. You need a 6-month vision that's sharp enough to guide your daily decisions. When your vision is clear, your priorities line up. You stop wasting time on things that don't move you forward. You start saying no without guilt. You start protecting your energy because now you know what it's for. Let me explain something powerful. Your vision has to be emotional, not just logical. Money alone won't push you on hard days. Titles won't keep you disciplined when you're tired. But a vision tied to freedom, peace, growth, and purpose will get you out of bed when motivation disappears. You've got to see it, feel it, and believe it before it shows up in your life. Another mistake people make is thinking their vision has to be perfect. It doesn't. It just has to be clear enough to start. Clarity grows as you move. You don't figure everything out before you begin. You begin and then things start to make sense. God doesn't reveal the whole staircase. He shows you the next step. But if you never step forward, you never see more. When you get clear about what you want, something interesting happens. Your tolerance for nonsense drops. You stop entertaining distractions. You stop explaining yourself to people who don't understand your direction. You stop chasing everything and start chasing the right thing. That focus alone can accelerate your life faster than you think. Let me say this slowly. A clear vision doesn't guarantee success, but a lack of vision guarantees frustration. Without clarity, you'll work hard and still feel lost. You'll stay busy but make no progress. You'll move but never arrive. Clarity gives your effort a destination. 6 months is enough time to see real change if your vision is locked in. But if you're unclear, 6 months will pass and you'll be in the same place, wondering where the time went. The difference between progress and regret is decision. Decide what you want. Write it down. Look at it every day. Let it guide your choices. Because once your vision is clear, your life finally has direction. Ladies and gentlemen, now let's talk about the third key to changing your life in 6 months. And this is something most people completely underestimate: discipline. Now, I know the word might make some of you squirm a little because it sounds like a lot of rules, a lot of restrictions, a lot of hard work. But listen to me, discipline is not about being a robot. Discipline is about creating habits that work for you and sticking to them even when you don't feel like it. You see, talent alone is not enough. Intelligence alone is not enough. You can have the brightest idea in the world, the best plan, the dream life waiting for you. But if you do not develop the muscle called discipline, you will watch that dream fade right in front of your eyes. It is consistent effort, repeated daily, that separates those who change their life from those who just talk about it. Now, let me give you a real life example. Many years ago, I was struggling, working jobs that barely paid the bills, wondering if I would ever make it. I had dreams, but I didn't have the discipline to follow through. I would work hard for a few weeks, get discouraged, and then give up. That cycle repeated over and over. But one day I made a choice. I said, Steve, you will do what it takes, no excuses, no shortcuts. And that was the beginning of a transformation. I began to wake up early, study my craft, memorize routines, practice relentlessly. And yes, even when it was inconvenient or uncomfortable, I stuck to it. That is the power of discipline. Discipline is also about protecting your time. Time is the one resource that is non-renewable, and yet we waste it every day on things that don't move us forward. Social media scrolling, gossip, distractions that make us feel busy but don't actually produce results. These are the enemies of change. If you want to transform your life in 6 months, you have to protect your time like it's gold. You have to schedule your day, focus on what truly matters, and eliminate activities that drain your energy without giving anything back. It's hard, I know. But the difference between success and mediocrity is often how disciplined you are with your minutes, your hours, your days. Another part of discipline is accountability. You can try to do this alone, but it's much harder. You need people around you who will hold you accountable, who will push you when you feel like quitting, who will remind you of your goals when you're tempted to stray. Discipline is not about punishing yourself. It's about creating an environment where your best habits are inevitable and your worst habits are difficult. You set rules for yourself. You follow them. And over time, those rules turn into results. And here's the beautiful thing discipline compounds. Every time you stick to your plan, every time you push yourself to do what others won't, you are not just building today, you are building a future where success becomes natural. 6 months from now, if you have disciplined yourself to invest your energy wisely, to learn relentlessly, to act consistently, you will be amazed at the person you've become. You'll look back and say, wow, I did that. And it will feel effortless because you've trained yourself to be that kind of person. So, ladies and gentlemen, don't run from discipline. Embrace it. See it as your secret weapon. The choices you make every day, the small, consistent actions are what will shape your 6 months, your year, and beyond. Don't wait for motivation to find you because motivation is fleeting. But discipline, once built, is unstoppable. It will carry you through the hard days, the setbacks, the disappointments, and still move you closer to the life you're dreaming of. Ladies and gentlemen, let's move on to the 4th key that can completely transform your life in just 6 months. And this one is powerful, taking full responsibility for your life. Now, I'm not sorry you might be thinking, Steve, I already work hard. I'm doing my best. Why would I need to take more responsibility? But let me tell you something. Taking responsibility is not about blame or guilt. It's about owning your choices, your actions, and your results. You see, every single thing in your life right now, your successes, your failures, your relationships, your financial situation, your health is a reflection of your decisions, whether you realize it or not. And the moment to accept that truth, that is the moment your life changes. Most people spend their lives blaming circumstances, blaming other people, blaming the system. Blaming luck. If only my boss treated me better. If only I had more money. If only my partner supported me. And because they are waiting for something outside of themselves to change. Nothing ever changes. But when you take full responsibility, you stop waiting. You stop complaining. You stop pointing fingers. You start looking at yourself in the mirror and saying, this is my life, and I am in charge. And once you embrace that, doors start opening, no longer giving your power away to anyone or anything else. Taking responsibility also means being honest with yourself. That is brutal sometimes because it's easier to pretend everything is okay or to make excuses for why you haven't achieved your goals yet. But change cannot happen without honesty. You have to look at your habits, your mindset, and your actions and ask yourself, am I doing everything I can to get the life I want? If the answer is no, then it's time to make adjustments. You can't fix what you don't admit is broken, and you can't grow if you keep blaming. Responsibility is about clarity. It gives you a roadmap for change because you know exactly what you need to do. And here's another critical point. Responsibility is also about accepting the consequences of your actions. It's not enough to make decisions. You have to follow through and deal with the outcomes. Sometimes those outcomes are great, and sometimes they're not what you expected. But every single result, good or bad, is a lesson that teaches you how to improve, how to strategize, how to get better. People who avoid responsibility never learn those lessons. They repeat the same mistakes, and their lives stay stuck in a cycle of frustration. But those who embrace responsibility see every challenge as an opportunity, every setback as feedback, and every failure as a step towards success. When you take responsibility, you also become unstoppable. No one can stop you because you are no longer waiting for permission, validation, or a perfect opportunity. You don't wait for someone else to fix your life. You create your own opportunities, you make your own luck, and you shape your own destiny. The power shifts from the outside world to inside you, and that is exactly where it belongs. You see, responsibility is freedom. It frees you from excuses, from self-pity, from the limitations that other people try to put on you. So, ladies and gentlemen, don't fear responsibility, embrace it. Look at your life and own it completely. Every goal you have, every dream you are chasing, every change you want to make starts with taking 100% responsibility for yourself. When you do that 6 months from now, you will be amazed at how far you've come because you stopped blaming, you stopped waiting, and you started acting. Responsibility is not just a key to success, it's the foundation for the life you were meant to live. Ladies and gentlemen, now let's move on to the 5th key to changing your life in just 6 months. And this one is a game changer. Surrounding yourself with the right people. I cannot stress this enough because so many people underestimate the company they keep. You are the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. Think about that. If you are spending your time with negative people, people who complain about everything, people who are afraid to take risks, then you are absorbing their energy, their mindset, and their limitations. On the other hand, when you surround yourself with motivated, ambitious, and positive people, that energy is contagious. It lifts you, it pushes you, and it holds you accountable to the level of greatness you are capable of. Let me tell you something from my own life. When I was starting out, I made a conscious decision to surround myself with winners, people who had already accomplished what I wanted to accomplish, people who knew the rules of the game, and people who demanded excellence. I cut out the naysayers, the doubters, and even the friends who were comfortable in mediocrity. At first, it was hard. Some of those people were lifelong friends, and it hurt to let them go. But the moment I did, I noticed a shift in my mindset. Suddenly, I was thinking bigger, taking bolder actions, and believing more in my potential. Your environment shapes your behavior, your habits, and ultimately your results. It's also important to understand that the right people do not just lift you up, they challenge you. They push you out of your comfort zone, they question your excuses, and they make you face the truth when you are too afraid to look at it yourself. That's what real growth requires. Comfort is the enemy of change. If you want to transform your life in 6 months, you need people around you who will hold you to a higher standard than you are holding yourself. They will inspire you, but more importantly, they will demand accountability. And accountability is exactly what keeps momentum going when motivation fades. Another critical part of this is mentorship. Find people who where you want to be and learn from them. Listen to their experiences, absorb their strategies, and apply what works to your own life. You don't have to reinvent the wheel. The fastest way to success is to learn from those who have already traveled the road you want to walk. That's why I always emphasize the importance of seeking guidance and advice from people who have proven themselves. It saves time, it saves mistakes, and it opens doors that you didn't even know existed. But let me warn you, not everyone who is successful will be the right person to surround yourself with. Some people are successful but toxic, arrogant, or draining. The key is to identify those who lift you up, encourage your growth, and genuinely want to see you succeed. When you align yourself with these individuals, you create a network of support that becomes a catalyst for rapid transformation. 6 months of focused energy, guided by the right people, can put you light years ahead of where you would be alone. So, ladies and gentlemen, take a hard look at your circle today. Are the people around that you become the best version of yourself, or are they holding you back without even realizing it? If you want to change your life in 6 months, start by changing who you allow to influence you. The energy, mindset, and habits of the people you spend your time with will directly impact your ability to achieve your goals. Surround yourself with winners, dreamers, doers, and people who refuse to settle, and watch how fast your life begins to transform. Ladies and gentlemen, now we arrive at the 6th and final key to changing your life in just 6 months, and this one is absolutely essential: taking massive action. You see, all the planning, all the goals, all the dreams, none of it matters if you do not act. Action is the bridge between where you are now and where you want to be. Too many people talk about what they are going to do, how they are going to change, how this year will be different. But talking alone doesn't move the needle. You must take consistent, deliberate, massive action every single day if you want your life to change in a meaningful way. Now, massive action does not mean being reckless or doing things without a plan. It means committing to doing more than the average person is willing to do. It means pushing past fear, discomfort, and doubt. Most people wait for the perfect moment or until they feel 100% ready, and that moment never comes. The reality is that the moment to act is now, today, this very second. Every delay, every hesitation, every excuse is a missed opportunity, and 6 months pass faster than you think. If you want to change your life, you must act with urgency and purpose without waiting for anyone else's approval. Let me tell you something about my own life. When I started in comedy, I was scared, unproven, and broke. I could have waited for the right stage, the right audience, the right timing, but I didn't. I hit the streets. I performed in small clubs. I faced rejection after rejection, and I kept going. That's what massive action looks like. It's not glamorous, it's not always comfortable, but it is what separates those who dream from those who achieve. You take every opportunity, even the small ones, and you commit to giving your absolute best. Each action builds momentum, and momentum compounds into results. Massive action also means taking responsibility for your results. You don't just act for the sake of action. You act strategically, with clarity, and with the intention to grow, learn, and improve every step of the way. You measure your results, adjust your approach, and keep moving forward no matter what obstacles appear. Life will always throw challenges at you, unexpected setbacks, failures, criticism. But action keeps you moving while others are stuck in fear or doubt. Every time you act, you gain experience, confidence, and insight that bring you closer to your goals. Another thing about massive action is that it requires persistence. You can't act for a day, a week, or even a month and expect a 6-month transformation. It has to be relentless. You must push yourself to do what others won't, to work when others rest, to study when others are distracted, to grind when others quit. That's how you separate yourself from mediocrity. The truth is, success is not a secret. It's the result of effort repeated consistently over time, with intensity and with belief in yourself even when no one else does. And here's the beautiful part: action creates clarity. You may start with uncertainty, confusion, or fear. But as you act, doors open, opportunities appear, and your path becomes clearer. Action fuels confidence, and confidence fuels more action. It is a cycle that propels you forward. The 6 months ahead are yours to shape, but only if you commit to doing, not just planning. Every big success in history began with someone taking the first step, then the next, relentlessly, until what once seemed impossible became reality. So, ladies and gentlemen, don't just dream about change. Don't just wish for a better life. Take massive action today, tomorrow, and every day for the next 6 months. Push past fear, embrace discomfort, and commit to the work that others won't do. That is the final key that will unlock the life you've been waiting for. The difference between the life you have and the life you deserve is not luck, it's action, pure and simple. Step into it and watch how fast your life transforms.